Hey guys, back with another video. So I'm coming through with this video because it's just things that I've came across, some things that I've been sitting on, and I just want to make a video on the things that I got. So you guys remember it being said that Nazaya mom, Kenyatta, aka Lady, um was being taken advantage of by Annette's husband, which is her son's Florentino's dad. And so I went through Florentino's friends list. He has like 3 or 4 different pages, so I had to go through like all of them to find them. But I came across a picture of his dad. Now I looked him up in a system, all ways that I could possibly find him, and I couldn't find him. But I'm gonna keep digging. But I don't find him in the S offender registry. Maybe it's in another state, so I'm gonna continue to look. But I just want to show y'all the photo of who this man is. His name is Willie Charles Robinson, but he goes by Charles and he goes by Willie Ramon. So I looked him up all ways that I could possibly look him up, and I didn't find him in the S registry in Michigan. But this is the guy. And the only thing that I could take from that is that, like we all know, Annette never did anything to help Kenyatta. She never turned him in at all. And then I'm wondering because Florentino is, LGBTQ or whatever, but they say sometimes like um people don't just be like that. And I'm wondering if the dad was doing that to Kenyatta, could he possibly have been touching on Florentino? I mean, that's just me wondering out loud. But he passed away in 2019. Um, he had a memorial service and all of that good stuff. Um, but he went to his grave with the secret of what he did to Kenyatta. Um, Annette let him go to his grave with that secret. And it's just sad that in order to keep a man or a piece of a man, whatever you want to call him, you have to give your daughter to him for him to stay with you. So that's basically what it boils down to. But so I kept scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, and then I came across this picture of Florentino. Now, he is, from what this looks like to me, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but he is a priest. And I find that kind of strange. The only reason I say that is because how, like, all of this mess is going on, but everybody seems to be so godly. But alone underneath everything, like it's so much bullcrap going on. Nobody stood up to take a stance on the stuff that's been going on in that family or anything. So when I seen this, it really shocked me, guys. Like I'm like, okay, but I don't know if he's still doing that. I don't know if he's still a priest, but at a point in time, he was a priest. But this, along with a lot of other things, it gives a good look into why they would do certain things to cover up certain things that's going on, because they trying to keep looking a certain way. They want to portray to be something that they really are not. Like, because from my understanding, I've been hearing that, which I'm gonna look into that as well, that they have a brother that's a police officer on the DPD police force. So that could be a lot of reason why things is going the way it's going too. I'm just throwing it out there. So, but I got something I want to show you guys. Like, so, it's this little show documentary I was watching and that I came across, and it's so eerily similar to Nazaya's case. Like it's like I don't know. It's just it kind of did something to me when I watched it because it's just so similar. I want y'all to check it out because it's very interesting. So this is Iyana Sawyer, and she was taken advantage of as well by her aunt's husband. It was a husband this time. She ended up getting pregnant as well by the aunt's husband. And guess what he did? He unalived her. So y'all watch Ayana's story and give me some feedback in the comments down below. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification button. This is just so sad how all these grown men are taking advantage of these kids like this.
Appeared in thin air. It was mass chaos.
When a Florida high school honors student full of promise goes missing.
I'm not a monster. I had nothing to do with her disappearance.
A trail of love and betrayal threatens to tear a tight-knit family apart.
Do I think my husband is capable of any of this? No, I don't. But we have a missing piece of the puzzle.
We break down the most compelling and memorable true crime cases from across the country. When a 16-year-old girl named Iyana Sawyer suddenly vanishes, her family and police chase down every possible lead. This is a very twisted story that proves quite difficult for authorities to crack.
Jacksonville 911, what's the location of your emergency?
Do not come home from school today, so phone is going straight to Brooklyn. It's not like her. Okay. You have no idea what she is.
December 19th, 2018 started out a normal day. IS was a 16-year-old high school student, a sophomore, straight A student at Terry Parker High School here in Jacksonville, Florida. She also went to school with her sister, SS, who was a year younger in her 9th grade year.
Because Iyana Sawyer and her sister are minors, investigators sometimes refer to them by their initials, IS and SS, to protect their identities.
Her sister was on the bus and she wasn't. I don't understand why she wasn't on the bus.
Did you ask your sister why?
She said she didn't know, and that's not like her. That's not like them to be together.
When SS calls her mother frantically, stating that IS did not get on the bus, Kimberly Mobley was at work. So she called two of her sisters. One of the sisters called 911 while the other one headed to Terry Parker High School.
Do you think it's foul play?
Ma'am, I have no idea. This is out of character for her. Oh. And for me to call you all, something's wrong.
Her family went crazy. They called 911. They called everyone. It was mass chaos because she just disappeared in thin air.
So IS, she was the firstborn. She was extremely close to her mom. She was extremely loyal. She loved being with her family. She wanted to be either a doctor or a lawyer. She was into her scholastics, being the straight A student. However, sadly, at the age of 16, she was carrying a big secret. And that secret was she was pregnant.
Iyana is 5 months pregnant. Though she only recently told her mom, the family supports her, and they've even named her unborn baby Hazel Michelle. All they want is to find Iyana safe and sound.
IS did not attend her last 2 periods of school. Video surveillance showed that she did in fact leave Terry Parker High School at approximately 11 a.m. And we don't know who picked her up because that was outside of camera footage at the time. She has 2 bags. One is full, of course, regular school items such as textbooks, notebooks. And then another bag has a voluminous amount of Victoria's Secret items, a body pillow. The family is left questioning, where is IS?
The consensus between police is that she has left school voluntarily. There was no obvious signs of any force or anything like that.
Our theory of the case is she either ran away and didn't want to be found, or she ran away because her mom wanted to know who the father of the child was. She didn't want to tell, and that led to friction between the two.
The police, they were just trying to do what they could to find her. They did some basic search around the area. They set up the tip line. The family was doing quite a bit. They were looking for anything.
After 2 days of searching, with no sign of Iyana, police change her status from a runaway to a missing person. Then, her mom makes a disturbing discovery.
Her mom was searching through, her room, through her laptop, through her boxes in her closet, anything she could to determine where she may be. She finds this Word document on Iyana's laptop that kind of seemed strange.
How do you get to it? Tell me how do you get to it.
I went there in the recycle bin right here.
The recycle bin?
And then she also got other notes over here on the side. If they asked you for a password, she got some of the notes locked. And she got other stuff that she wrote in here about him too, though.
The fact that Iyana went to such great lengths to keep the documents a secret is as concerning as what she'd written.
It was a couple pages long, and it was a pouring out her heart of this person, Jose, her love for this person, the betrayal of this person.
Iyana's mom has never heard her talk about Jose. Could it be a code name for someone? Could she have run away with this person? The diary entries are dated February and March 2018, almost a year before Iyana disappeared. Around that time, Iyana was in a relationship her mom didn't approve of with an adult neighbor when Iyana was just 15.
There was a next door neighbor who lived across the street from Iyana. He had had a sexual relationship with Iyana, and his name was Kamar Humphrey. I mean, the person that was accused of sexually assaulting her, 9 months earlier is very much someone who I would be looking into very deeply when she goes missing.
Authorities have legitimate cause for concern about Humphrey. In March 2018, at Iyana's mom's insistence, they'd obtained a DNA swab from him for a rape kit. He admitted to having sex with Iyana at least once, and the DNA confirmed it.
Under Florida law, he was listed as a sexual offender because he was over the age of 18 and she was under the age of 16.
The time period that the rape kit was done, that we can confirm there was a sexual relationship, is outside of the time period that she would have conceived. But we have always asked, did that relationship continue on? And we know it went on for months just based on the conversations that she had with friends. He's a viable suspect for the father of her child.
Police ask Humphrey where he was the day Iyana went missing. When he shows proof he was out of town, investigators have to rule him out. But if he's not Jose, who is? That's when a new name comes into the mix: Jonathan Quilez.
She confronts Iyana's sister, and Iyana's sister's the one who says, oh, that's Jose is Uncle John. So Iyana was John's niece by marriage. He was Uncle John to Iyana and to the other siblings as well. They were very close. His wife and him both took care of the kids on a regular basis. They would spend time at their house. John, really charismatic guy. He's very likable. He was a mechanic. He was a handyman. He had a good family life, was working, doing well, married, had a kid, another one on the way at the time.
Iyana's mom knows the two are very close, but if Uncle John, aka Jonathan Quilez, is the Jose in Iyana's diary, did things go too far? Her mom is determined to get to the bottom of whatever is going on. She calls police, and they head over to his house.
Hey John, what's going on?
This is crazy.
All this just got dropped on me. Like
both of us. I was just trying to get a damn guy to sign a lease over there, and I'm coming back. I see patrol cars in my dang house.
He arrived while they were there. He was calm, cool, and collective. I'm here to help.
We literally had their kids, her kids, for summers. Summer at a time, and then weekends. All of them. If we knew where she was at, we would have been the first ones to grab her ass and bring her over.
Yeah, exactly.
We're posting stuff on our Facebook trying to find her the same way they are.
He did not know anything. He didn't have any involvement. Even his wife, was defending him and that he would never do anything to harm IS.
So I'm gonna tell you, with regards to this here, do I think my husband is capable of any of this? No, I don't. You know, but I mean, I don't. We have a missing piece of the puzzle.
Police tell the couple they have a warrant to search the house.
You got free reign.
I'll hang out here. They'll go in and look.
Okay, that's cool.
And then we'll take it. We'll go from there. Yeah. So you guys hang tight for me?
Yeah, it's not a problem.
Right back.
Naomi and John say, hey, search our house, you know, do what you need to do, look through, because, you know, she's not here. We have nothing to do with it.
You got all the rooms?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Backyard.
Yeah, let's look at the back. Let's look at the backyard? Sure.
Even one of the officers found it kind of funny because Jonathan's sitting there. He's like, hey, come on in, you know, whatever you guys need. You want something to eat? You want something to drink? You know, and he's inviting him in like he's one of the family.
But Quilez and his wife do admit that Iyana's mom voiced her concerns about Quilez's contact with her daughter since she found the document on her laptop.
Once that all happened, we got blocked completely from having any communication.
But then the girl said, well, we can't speak with you now because we blocked. Mama said to block you, so we gotta wait until this passes over. Okay. So, I mean, the same, but it's not uncommon.
Yeah, this happened before, and then they come and they'll stay, you know, a week, weekends over here at the house.
It seems like the relationship was a little more complicated than anyone initially thought. Then, the couple makes another statement that seems to catch officers by surprise.
So while talking about, well, do you know any items that are missing of IS's? Well, the wife had stated when she left, she took a lot of her Victoria's Secret undergarments.
Jonathan Quilez is even more specific.
Oh yeah, her 38 pair, indicating that she had taken 38 pairs of Victoria's Secret undergarments with her. How someone in a family relationship would know that is obviously very odd.
As cooperative as Quilez has been, officers sense something is off.
She said that she knows who the father was, but she ain't saying.
Oh, she did know?
Yeah, she knows who the father of her child was, and she did. But then you can't really take anything that she's saying serious because now that she's been gone, I question literally everything.
Police there wanting to talk to John about, you know, have you had a sexual relationship with Iyana? And so it's just, you know, they were investigating him, at least trying to find out.
When we return, police decide to bring Jonathan Quilez in for more questioning.
How do you know? Do a thorough investigation, okay?
Okay.
So we're gonna have to take you to get interviewed by a detective, okay?
Okay.
And just you know, tell them your side and that's it, all right?
All right.
All right, so we're gonna just go here real quick.
Questioning, he acted like you would expect. He denied everything, said he didn't know anything, and he lamented the fact that his niece was missing.
December 27th, 2018, about a week after 16-year-old Iyana Sawyer, or IS, disappeared. It's especially concerning because she's pregnant. Police have brought in her uncle, Jonathan Quilez, for an interview. They press him about the diary his niece wrote that indicates the two had sexual relations. He denies any inappropriate contact and has even provided his DNA to police.
You guys took my DNA at the house. I don't have nothing to hide. You are looking at the wrong person. I have nothing to do with that girl disappearing whatsoever.
They don't arrest him that day. They detain him, they talk to him, but then they release him.
However, Quilez has raised enough suspicions that a few days later, police turn the investigation over to homicide detective Abbott, who immediately processes the DNA Quilez provided.
It was submitted to the Florida Department of Law Enforcement here, and a rush was put onto it because what we had learned was that a sexual assault kit involving IS had been submitted back in March of 2018, and there was unknown DNA.
The results showed DNA from neighbor Kamar Humphrey, which was expected since he and Iyana had had a relationship. But the unknown DNA was additional. Could it be her Uncle John's?
Well, on January 7th, 2019, a shock came. Jonathan Quilez' DNA was on IS's panties. Complete, utter shock. It only heightened that Jonathan Quilez was definitely a person of interest. Then a bombshell hit. A phone call comes in to the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office. That individual identified himself as Joseph Quilles, Jonathan Quilles' brother. And oh boy, did he have a story to tell. Jonathan Quilles had called his brother. He stated it was either December 19th, 2018 or December 20th, 2018, that his brother was frantic, stating that this girl might be pregnant, it might be mine, and I have to get rid of the body. Joseph Quilles then stated his brother hung up the phone. However, sometime later he called back, calmer, not upset, not nervous, said he had taken care of it.
When Joseph asks his brother to explain, Quilles reportedly gets surprisingly specific.
Jonathan Quilles tells his brother that he lured her to his work in an area where no video surveillance, no other workers, it's loud, and he went to strangle her, but he couldn't stomach it, so he shot her. He then put her body in a dumpster, and then it's done. He now can move on, and his life won't be ruined.
His brother was like, I don't believe my brother did this, but it made me feel very uneasy that if I didn't call and report it and something had happened, that it would haunt him.
Armed with this shocking new information, Detective Abbott and a colleague from Special Assault bring Quilles back in for another interview.
How are you?
How you doing? I've had better days.
I know, right?
Yeah.
There's been a lot happened. We need to talk about, okay?
At this time, Detective Billy Abbott has spoken to Joseph Quilles, and now he is looking at this closer to a homicide investigation.
The girls would come over to your house and you do like trips to the beach.
Yeah,
to the
we always when to go with the pool we had the pool we had at the house.
They would stay the night. They'd spend
Yeah,
time
they'll
at your
spend
house. And there was
the whole
anybody-
summer.
So you're doing all these things with the girls,
No, with all of them.
right? With the kids.
All of the kids.
But,
Yeah,
but then they're accusing you of messing with the girls.
correct. Yeah, and this is they came out with that. They started like real heavy with it when went with that boy across the street and doing all that. That's when it started like really thick.
Jonathan Quilles was trying to do anything and everything to show how it was not him, that it could be this other individual, or she might have had another boyfriend in her life.
So now is missing. She ran away or whatnot. Now here I am sitting in the hot seat because is mentioning me as that I was I'm Mr. Jose.
Okay.
So
Do you know who she ran away with?
I don't. I've been expecting call me, text me, anything, Snapchat me, smoke signal.
Quilles painted himself as the victim himself. He's being unfairly tarnished by this belief he had an inappropriate relationship with his niece.
So if I were to tell you that I found some underwear that had your DNA in it, how would you explain that?
I would say that is not, that there's no way in shape in any form.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no way.
So with the case across the street, there was a kit done.
Correct.
And she was wearing specific clothes to include underwear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she told me that was one of her biggest pet peeves, that they took underwear from her.
Okay. So that's what he's talking
That's
about.
what I was referring to.
That wasn't my DNA. That I didn't.
100%.
No way.
It's DNA. Yeah.
I'm not saying you're a monster. I don't think you're a monster at all. Okay? I think maybe they came on to you and things went a little too far. It happens all the time.
What exactly are they accusing me of? What exactly are they saying I did? Okay, well, now they're making suggestions that I'm having the sexual relationship or that I had something to do with her going missing, and I absolutely did not.
Look at her face.
I could look at her face.
They need closure.
I'm not a monster. I have nothing to do with her disappearance. I have nothing to do with her disappearance at all.
So the whole family's off. Is a liar. Your brother who loves you is just crazy.
I don't know
Right?
what the hell's
Everyone's
going
just
on with my
circling
brother.
Jonathan.
The last I spoke with my brother, he was all bent out of shape. And I'm like, hold on, bro. You got this all twisted. I didn't do nothing. I have no idea what the hell happened with this young lady. Any of that. So
then how did he have all those details?
I don't know how he had all those details. I'm sorry. I don't know how he had any of those details.
And he said he didn't believe you at first. He thought you were kidding. But it was so detailed.
No. I'm sorry. Nope.
He really is just kind of like, you know what, there's nothing I can do at this point. You've already made up your minds. You haven't looked anywhere else. I'm not the person, but you're convinced that I am.
So, Jonathan, is there anything else you'd like to say?
There's nothing else I would like to say.
Okay. Then at this point, I'm going to place you under arrest for sexual battery. It's a first-degree felony. So if you'll stand up and turn around and face the wall, place your hands behind your back.
Now, Jonathan Quilles is the #1 suspect in the disappearance of IS and now the murder of IS and her unborn child.
Police seem to believe Jonathan Quilles is involved, but they still don't know exactly what happened to Iyana. Coming up, a new development.
So after the interview, Detective Abbott decided that he was going to do some more investigation, and that was through a wire.
You did good by doing it, getting rid of the body and all that.
The prayer, I was not praying. I was praying the whole time.
You have to forgive me.
Jonathan Quilles is being held at the Duval County Jail on charges of sexual battery in connection with the disappearance of his niece, Iyana Sawyer, or IS. When police interviewed Quilles, he denied any wrongdoing, but Detective Abbott has gathered some powerful evidence against him, including DNA and a confession Quilles apparently made to his own brother. Now, Abbott decides to see what else he can gather, this time from inside the jail.
Detective Abbott, through his partners and his homicide team, they were able to get into contact with some other inmates. One of the inmates then was wired up, and through the instructions that Detective Abbott and his homicide team had given this inmate was, see what Jonathan Quilles will tell you.
Just 2 days later, the detective's plan seems to pay off.
You did good by doing it, getting rid of the body and all that.
Why were they pointing fingers at you? Because of my brother.
Now why did you kill her though? If you didn't think she was gonna jail, or you just felt like it was gonna hit the fan and later on.
Yeah, she was 16 when she came out that she was pregnant. There's a possibility that was mine.
When Jonathan starts talking, he doesn't know how to stop, and he just keeps going. His biggest flaw is he's a chatterbox.
When you saw that, where happened to?
It was over at the job. It was loud over there.
Oh, you shot at the job and left there overnight?
It was loud at the job over there. This girl would have jumped out, screamed, anything.
So what about the cameras?
The camera system. It's like everything is blurry, nothing is focused. And that's the thing, the cameras do work, but they suspect. In A speaker part, there's so many spots you could throw over the gate.
I guess by you killing her, you did the right thing, because you probably be in a worse situation than she was living.
The challenge with jailhouse snitches is that you could have some doubts. Well, he's just bragging in prison because he wants to have some street cred there. But his words are his words. And when you compare that to his own brother's comments and Miss Sawyer's younger sister's words that Jose was Jonathan, now the evidence is really starting to pile up.
After Detective Abbott reviews this audio recording, the determination was, I gotta get to Ace Pickle part. I gotta make sure that we get that video surveillance.
Ace Pick-Apart You Pull It is the auto salvage yard where Jonathan Quilles works. Video surveillance from December 19th, the day Iyana disappeared, could answer a lot of questions and confirm or deny Quilles' statements.
Surveillance video showed that Mr. Quilles left his work around the time when the niece went missing from school. So he could have left from work to go pick up Miss Sawyer, but there's no clear-cut evidence of that because he had an alternate explanation. He was leaving for work purposes. It was his lunch break. And there is no specific video that shows Mr. Quillis with Miss Sawyer around that time.
Jonathan said that he was asked to go up to Fastenal up near the airport to pick up some parts. If he went and picked up IS, how could he be all the way up near the airport, which is over 30 minutes away? He can't be over at Terry Parker High School picking her up.
However, authorities allege that Quillis drove to an area of the yard that had no cameras and was off limits to most employees, where he purportedly shot Iyana. Investigators pieced together what happened next from the wiretap recording.
Got shot. Got rid of what? Went to the gun range the same day.
Police end up finding his signature on the sign-in sheet at the range and the gun in his closet.
He went to the gun range and shot the gun. The only thing I can think of about that statement is maybe he thought some forensic evidence could show that the gun had been recently shot.
If that was Quillis's plan, it seems like it worked.
There's no blood evidence, there's no DNA, there's nothing on your gun. And it's alleged that he shot her at close range, like in the heart even. The physical evidence didn't line up with what we were expecting to see.
Investigators check every vehicle in the yard and find no trace of Iyana.
So what police had was a theory that he shot Miss Sawyer and then dumped her body in a dumpster that was quickly removed. But there was a lack of physical evidence here.
Based on what Quillis has said, Detective Abbott follows up on the dumpster.
Detective Abbott learns on December 20th, 2018, All American Garbage picks up the container. It went to Otis Road landfill. So Detective Abbott then makes contact with the Otis Road landfill.
The sheriff's office spent over $1.5 million over 3 weeks to go through and excavate this landfill. It was almost 80 feet deep. The tons and tons of trash that was moved, even by their own account, was monumental in nature. And they found nothing over a 3-week period of time.
They couldn't find anything that directly tied Mr. Quillis to Miss Sawyer's disappearance. They found some articles of clothing that they thought were Miss Sawyer's, but the sizes were a little different. It was some Victoria's Secret clothing, and it could have been her clothing, especially as she was carrying a baby, but it's not 100% clear to law enforcement that they've got the goods.
With no physical evidence, the question is whether the evidence investigators do have is enough to indict Jonathan Quillis in the murder of his niece and her unborn child.
You have Miss Sawyer's younger sister saying that Mr. Quillis was Jose. You also have Mr. Quillis's own brother saying that Quillis confessed to him. And you also have wiretaps now.
On July 18th, 2019, about 6 months after Iyana Sawyer disappeared, investigators send Jonathan Quillis's case to a grand jury.
And thinking about, well, what kind of charges are we going to do? Well, ultimately, it was decided that we were going to do first-degree murder. And the reasons why we were going to do those particular charges, and also in the state of Florida, we can do that for an unborn child. So we knew there was going to be 2 counts for that.
The list of evidence the detectives present pays off.
We met with a grand jury today on your case as well as several others, and you are being indicted on first-degree murder. The 3rd count is going to be sexual battery. Okay? We need to advise you of that.
Okay.
All right. We would like to talk to you if you're willing to speak with us.
I have an attorney that's representing me. She doesn't want me to talk to nobody without her being present.
Considering the charges that he was facing, he had good spirits. He was pretty confident in how he spoke and very clear, concise. We talked about a lot of the alternative explanations or alternative options, alternative suspects.
After the grand jury indictment, Jonathan Quilles's case doesn't go to trial for another 4 years. Yet with no significant additional evidence turning up, does the state have enough to convict?
We didn't have IS in her unborn child. In a normal case, we know where someone's murdered. There's blood, there's fingerprints, there's a bullet, there's a spent shell casing, and it's readily identifiable. This is where the person was killed. There was going to potentially be some doubt.
You swear affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth? I do. All right, sir, so you're charged with an indictment. Count 1 is murder in the first degree, count 2 is murder in the first degree, count 3 is sexual battery.
Jonathan Quilles's trial begins on September 14th, 2023 in Jacksonville, Florida's Duval County Courthouse. He pleads not guilty to all 3 counts against him in the murder and sexual battery of his pregnant niece Iyana Sawyer, whose body has never been found, and her unborn child.
If you're found guilty of any one of those charges, there is the possibility that you can spend the rest of your natural born life in prison. Do you understand that? I do.
And the death penalty is also on the table.
The girl might be pregnant. I can't lose my family if she has the baby. I have to get rid of the body. She was 16. Did you shoot her? Did you shoot her in the head? Heart.
Once they heard everything, that puzzle was built, that picture was painted, that they would know beyond every reasonable doubt that the defendant, Jonathan Quilles, killed his family member because he could not let the world know that he fathered an underage juvenile child.
The defense responds, telling the jury, not so fast.
They have to prove that Mr. Quilles is the one that committed this crime. There will be no direct evidence to say that he did. You will not hear it.
Investigating and looking through the evidence that the state had gathered, the glaring issue again and again was the lack of physical evidence that they had.
There will be no DNA to say he's the father. They will not be able to prove that Jonathan Quilles is in fact the father of the unborn child. They don't have a body. Therefore, we believe they cannot meet their burden of premeditated murder. And therefore, we believe there will be reasonable doubt.
The biggest challenge for prosecutors is that we're living in a time when people expect to see DNA, direct evidence via video, and if you don't have a body, you don't have a murder weapon, and your case is largely circumstantial, it's tough to convince juries that you should send this person to jail for life or even the death penalty.
The state of Florida is banking on a strong slate of witnesses, along with purported admissions of guilt made by Jonathan Quilles himself to his brother and jailhouse informants. Naomi Mobley, Iyana's aunt and Jonathan Quilles' now ex-wife, at whose home Iyana spent so much time, testifies. She says she was initially defensive when her sister said Jonathan was behaving inappropriately with their niece, but when her sister showed her Snapchats between the two, she changed her tune.
What, if anything, did you do thereafter?
I told him at that time that he needed to stop speaking with my nieces and he needs to give my family space. I said that it looks really bad and he needs to distance himself.
Did you learn thereafter whether or not he stopped speaking and or communicating?
I learned after that he did in fact continue speaking with them.
So what are we looking at in State 64?
These are the messages from Snapchat.
The Snapchats from Jonathan Quilles in the months leading up to Iyana's disappearance were sometimes sexually explicit and even seemingly threatening.
9/4/2018, 9/27. I'm very aggravated right now. I'm going to hit you later. 9/7/2018, 12/21. Yeah, so I need you to be like 100% with me at all times. I'm just so in love with you, I'll kill you and cry.
There was a change in his behavior after she went missing. Prior to that, He was fidgety and nervous. He was restless. After she went missing, then he slept like a baby.
Quillez's brother Joseph also gives emotional testimony about his conversations with Jonathan. As evidenced by their phone records, they talked 4 times between December 18th and 20th, 2018, the time period of Iyana's disappearance. Joseph could tell his brother wasn't acting like himself.
His demeanor was a little off. It was kind of like he was nervous or a little panicky about something.
Have you heard your brother sound panicky to you on previous occasions?
No, he was more concerned about what is he going to do with the young lady in question. That she might be pregnant, and what is he going to do? He doesn't want to ruin his family and mess up what he has already going on.
In their last conversation, Jonathan Quillez seemingly finally came clean about what exactly he did on December 19th, 2018. He'd picked up Iyana from school, telling her they would run away and be together.
He had her sitting in a vehicle, waiting. He tried to strangle her. It didn't work out. He couldn't stomach it. And so then he later went and shot her in the chest. And then he proceeded to discard the body by transporting it into a dumpster and destroying the vehicle.
Now, Mr. Quillez, were you surprised by what he told you?
Absolutely.
On December 20th, Joseph wrote his brother a heartfelt text, which the prosecutor reads in court.
I can't talk to you right now. I have to stay firm on my decision. What you told me isn't some joke or something you like about. So yes, I told the police because they needed to know. I'm sorry I have to do the right thing for that girl and her family, not the right thing for you and your selfishness. I hate to lose you, but I'd rather that the girl's family have some peace. If you're innocent, then you don't need to worry and they won't find her body. But if you're not, they're going to find her. And in that case, I already lost my brother.
Prosecutors argue Jonathan Quillez had also told his story to jailhouse informants, including an inmate who, ironically, Quillez met in a Bible study group.
Tell this jury what he said to you.
Choked her. He pulled his gun out and shot her.
What, if anything, did he tell you with what he did with her once he shot her?
Once he shot her, he threw her body in the dumpster.
You shot her, how you killed her? You don't mind me asking, I'm just blunt.
Yeah, I know.
I know you don't really want to talk about it. It's all going to be able to get rid of the body.
See, I dump garbage over at the landfill. It would be buried under like 3 feet of garbage.
When the inmate had testified and we played that wire, we no longer had to say, this is what Jonathan Quillez said. Believe the state of Florida. It was listen to him himself.
You could watch the jurors' reaction of Jonathan on that wire and what he said and how he said it. You could literally watch the jurors change the entire demeanor of how they felt about the case. 8 out of the 12 jurors, almost in unison, turned their heads, looked right at us, and you could just read the look on their faces like, you're done.
We, the jury, find the defendant guilty of first-degree murder as charged in the indictment. Verdict count 2. We, the jury, find the defendant guilty of first-degree murder as charged in the indictment. Verdict count 3. We, the jury, find the defendant guilty of engaging in an act that constitutes sexual battery.
If he hadn't started talking, if he hadn't done that, there was more than enough reasonable doubt if his own words hadn't walked them through it for the state.
After almost 5 years of living and breathing IS's case, getting to know IS, seeing IS's picture every day in my office, the best words ever were heard, guilty.
As the case reaches the penalty phase, the question the jury will deliberate next is whether Jonathan Quillez should be sentenced to life in prison or death.
Jonathan Quillez is now a 2-time convicted murderer. Each of you know the horrendous facts that occurred in this case. Each of you did justice when you convicted the defendant beyond a reasonable doubt of premeditated murder of IS and the premeditated murder of IS's unborn child, and will ask you all to render a vote of death.
State of Florida did hope that they would come back and recommend death. That's why we sought it to begin with, given the totality of the evidence in this case.
The defense had hoped for a different outcome.
We're asking you to save his life. Does he deserve it? You probably don't think so. But is there something there worth saving? Is there something there that would make you all come back and say life without the possibility of parole is appropriate? We were able to put on witnesses, his family, a psychologist that evaluated him, to humanize him, really, at the end of the day, to make it so that you could understand that this is a life worth saving.
The jury is decisive once again.
We, the jury, find Jonathan Quiles should be sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole.
It was disappointing. However, we respect the process of our system, and ultimately we were just beyond ecstatic that they had found guilty verdicts.
When they came back for life, that was the biggest sigh of relief. I really felt like at that point, that was the best thing that we could do for him as his attorneys, was to save his life. That was a huge win for us.
Ultimately, our judge did 3 consecutive life sentences. So, State of Florida, on behalf of IS, her unborn child, and the family, felt that justice had been served, the truth had been sought, and it had been seen and shown.
Wearing a t-shirt bearing the name of Iyana's unborn daughter, Hazel, her mom reflects on her loss.
Iyana was full of life and wanted to do so many things. She wanted to be a pediatrician. I thought about being a lawyer. To my mom, she was going to be a lawyer because she could talk her way out of almost anything. She was everything you could ask for in a daughter. We were so close. She was my first love.
It was a case that was beyond different than anything I had experienced as a prosecutor. You get to know IS through her death. You get to know her unborn child. You get to know her family. She is a part of me.
I would never hear her say, "I love you." I would never receive another FaceTime from her while I'm at work. I thank God for the 16 years that I was able to spend with her. Until we meet again, I love you forever.
Yes, the jury found the right person accountable. However, IS is forever gone. Not only just forever gone, she's forever 16.